Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. We have two patients today. One is Tribeca with misfires. Customer tried reflowing IC608, which helped for about 2 days, which normally it actually helps for closer to 2 weeks, and I've had even one ECM that came in for repair. That was worked on by a TV repair shop, like some old school technician using that legacy resin flax. Or actually, that's not even flax, that's just resin. And left it over there and created a bridge, luckily with NC pen. So, and that worked for around a year even. So, you know, it happens that it can help for a long time. This helped only for 2 days. Well, in either case, reflowing or resoldering pins around, that is not a fix. That is like kind of a temporary countermeasure. The second one that we have is 2007 Impreza. As you can see, I finally found the customer that sent it, because it came in with a handwritten note, the VIN and the description of the problem and the return address, but no ticket number, no order number. I couldn't match the name, I couldn't match the address, nothing. But then I remembered that I did talk to someone about the shorted EVAP circuit. So this one has shorted EVAP circuit, the code P0448. So we're gonna take a look at this as well. But first, let's fix this one. And let's see how the reflow went. Well, yeah, so the problem here is that you didn't heat it up long enough. That's why it helped only for a little bit. Now, if this was a proper reflow, it will still not resolve the problem, but you need to heat it up enough for the chip to start floating on the board. That would help for longer, maybe 2 weeks. So let's give it a try, So the reason I know it hasn't been reflown, rather just heated, is by the amount of conformal coating still on the chip. Now, if this was properly heated, meaning to around 360, 380, all of that conformal coating would have evaporated. It would look different, basically. But to fix it, you actually need to lift the chip. You need to get rid of all that factory solder and replace it with leaded solder. That's the fix. As you guys probably noticed, we are past 2,000 subscribers. That's amazing. To me, that's amazing. You know, when I started the channel, I obviously didn't know what I was doing. I have no prior experience doing anything like that. I don't have any talents regarding public speaking or content creation in general. So I figured, well, let's just do it and see where it goes and how it goes, right? In that effort, I also looked at the other channels, right? That's what I think is very valuable. Just observe other people, especially other successful people, but not only that. Because when you just focus on successful people, then you're, what was it called? The survivor bias? Basically, when you just listen to successful people and they tell you that, well, I did this and I became successful, right? Or I did that and I became successful. But you never hear the stories of other people that did exact same thing and did not achieve success, right? So I focused on small channels that didn't seem to be able to take off, and one channel in particular, I'm not sure if I remember the name correctly, but I think it was Casey Davis, and the only reason I even came across that channel was because he subscribed to my channel. That's how, and back then I had maybe 100 subscribers. So, every new subscriber was showing up on my analytics, or I got emails that this person subscribed to you. I don't get those emails anymore because I don't know. I guess YouTube does that when you're starting, when you have just few subscribers. They try to encourage you, maybe, and every new subscriber is an email. Every comment is an email. Now I don't get those emails anymore. And I understand that, maybe not in my case, but if you're getting, 2,000 subscribers a day, then, it's kind of pointless to send you email for each new subscriber. So that's understandable. But that channel actually is, completely different genre. What was it called? That game, my son loves it. Minecraft. So he does Minecraft's LPs. That stands for Let's Play, which I assume, because I've never actually seen it, but I assume you just play Minecraft and record a video of it, and maybe you're showing some tips and tricks and stuff like that. I'm sure I know there's a lot of need for that, a lot of interest, but there's also a lot of competition. And the first thing that was suggested, or the most common suggestion or an advice that you would get as a new to YouTube, was to pick your genre based on not only the interest but the competition there is. And there's a lot of interest in Minecraft, but there's also a lot of competition. So I went through the guy's channel, and it was kind of staggering, because he seemed like he does everything correctly, everything well, everything much better than I do. So he posts every other day, once a day to maybe once every 2 days. His thumbnails are great. I don't know about the actual videos, but I assume if he puts this much effort into thumbnails, I'm sure his editing and stuff is a lot better than what I do. And he had, at the time, he had 2,000 subscribers, a little over 2,000 subscribers. But every upload that he does, multiple a week, every one of them gets 2 views, 5 views at the most, and some of them 0 views. So that to me was interesting, because from the looks of it, he's doing everything right. He's doing everything correct, as recommended by YouTube experts, right? By content creation experts. So what does make a channel successful? There is only one video that I've watched from his channel, because, you know, I'm not interested in Minecraft, obviously. But I have seen one video, and that video was kind of a rant video. I like those kind of videos, like rant videos. And he was talking about like this kind of a desperation that, you know, he is indeed doing everything right, everything correct, and for some reason he cannot gain audience. So that kind of showed me that this is the game, right? Just because you're doing everything right, and just because you're trying to replicate the steps that successful people took and became successful, doesn't guarantee that you're gonna be successful. So that's kind of how I looked at it. That's kind of how I looked at it, that, you know, I might be, or maybe, no, what it actually made prominent to me was that all this advice, be it the good advice, right? Because you can't really argue with that advice, right? Have a good microphone, good camera, make thumbnails, you know, pacing, all that stuff. Obviously, without that, there's no way you're gonna, or I think there's no way you're gonna gather any kind of audience without putting that effort, right? And actually doing the, you know, your due diligence, doing stuff correctly. But it doesn't really guarantee anything, right? So that kind of showed me with an example that perhaps the most valuable thing that you need, or the only thing that you need to be successful, is just be lucky. You know? Just plainly, you need a little bit of luck. I think in the repair business space, there's plenty of competition, and the majority of other channels that I watch in repair business do stuff better than I do, have better equipment than I do, have better public speaking skills, better language skills, be it native speakers or not, you know, better presence on the in front of the camera. So I never really thought I would get to 2,000 subscribers. Not that it's any great achievement, right? It's not like you get a plaque for that, and you know, it's just kind of a very arbitrary achievement that only, you know, only makes sense to me, or only means something to me. It doesn't really mean anything to anyone else. It's this arbitrary success that I set for myself, basically. What I noticed in my journey was that I gained enough watch hours before I got to 1,000 subscribers, right? You need 4,000 watch hours in a year, plus 1,000 subscribers. These are the criteria that YouTube said. Again, arbitrary criteria, but you know, I'm sure they had a lot of reasons for making those requirements what they are, and they put a lot of research work and stuff to come up with these. But I had well, like 800, maybe 800 subscribers when I already had enough watch hours, and by the time I had 1,000 subscribers, I had way over 5,000 watch hours. So for some reason, watch hours were not an issue for me. The subscribers were. And usually what I hear is that it's the opposite, that you have 5,000 subscribers, but not enough watch hours so you can get monetized on YouTube, right? And that was definitely the case for this person with 2,000 subscribers, but virtually no views, right? And I was, I've heard that there are services that you can pay for to get artificial subscribers. And maybe in case of some people that is what they do. I think it's very counterproductive, because you haven't really gained anything, right? Because you're still not gonna get monetized, and that works against you because you don't know if you're gaining subscribers because you're doing something right, or because you have artificial subscribers, right? So I don't know, why would you do that to yourself? To just get bots to subscribe to your channel. I never even explored the avenues. Like, I don't know how much does it cost, how does it work, like, are these actual bots, or are these like armies of people that just subscribe to whatever they are presented with, or how do you pay for that? Do you just use your credit card and to pay for that, or is it a crypto transaction? I'm pretty sure that's not allowed on YouTube. Or actually, I don't know. But I would expect it to be not allowed. I would expect it to be against terms of service. But the thing that I don't understand is, why would anyone actually want to do that? It makes no sense to me. Alright. That looks not too bad. Let's inspect. So these are kind of things that I sometimes think of. However, what nowadays I don't really have time to think about stuff like that, because I got other goals right now, or not even goals. I have needs that I need to meet, and but I was thinking that 2,000 subscribers. That means something to me. So I wanted to do something special. And I was thinking stream. To go live. What do you guys think of that? Because YouTube tells me that my subscribers, my viewers actually, not even subscribers, my viewers don't actually watch much lives. This is not the format that my viewers particularly like. But I don't know that. These are the statistics, meaning I get some statistics regarding the viewers' preferences, meaning that my viewers don't tend to watch lives. But I'm thinking it's in comparison to watching videos, right? So obviously, I don't search for live streams. I don't typically do live streams. But if my favorite YouTuber goes live, I'll join in. I'll listen. And sometimes I do just especially when there's something happening, be it in politics or something in news or stuff like that, and YouTubers go live, either reporting on it or discussing it or sharing opinions, and I like to watch those. However, in my case, I don't report on news or anything like that. So, my live stream would be pretty much fixing something, So I don't know if, because here's the deal. As I said, I'm not too handy with this whole YouTube thing. And when I produce my videos, I have the ability to cut the silence, cut out like some parts that you don't want to see, right? Maybe boring parts, that kind of stuff. So in video production, that gives me an upper hand, that allows me to produce more watchable videos than going live, right? And when I'm live, I expect it to be quite boring. That's at least what I would expect it to be, because I don't have the ability to remove stuff that I don't like, the detrimental stuff to the viewing pleasure, right? Which is obviously something I cannot do live. So I don't know if you guys can share your thoughts and opinions, because I don't really know what else to do, and I do want to acknowledge you guys, because it's not like it's my achievement that having 2,000 subscribers. It's nothing that I really did. It's you guys. You gave it to me. You honored me with your subscription and in the number of 2,000. So I was thinking that going live might be a good way of acknowledging that. And as far as how I envisioned it, is getting everybody on Discord. So normally when you go live, you get the super chat or whatever, or there's a chat, but I don't think I have necessary skills to just kind of manage that live. I know some people do it really well. It's like they were born to do it. I don't think I am such a person. So my vision was, let's all get on Discord, on voice channel, and maybe fix something, all right? And we can just fix it together. Perhaps meanwhile you have some questions that perhaps I can answer. Oh, what happened here? Or maybe, we don't have to fix stuff. Maybe we can just talk about some technology, or maybe just focus this stream on questions, right? Any questions that I can be of help with regarding electronics or software engineering or technology, perhaps in general. Maybe we can discuss other subjects, maybe YouTube things, right? Obviously I'm not a YouTube expert, but now with close to 2 years of experience, I'm sure I can provide some guidance to a complete noobs, right? If you just purchase the camera and the microphone, or you're not even there yet, you want to purchase a camera and a microphone. I know some stuff that I wish I knew when I was starting, and there were some channels that helped me out, but for the most part I just had to figure stuff out by myself. That's usually how it works. So that was the idea that was kinda simmering in my head, and I was expecting to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of this month, or next month, the early next month. That was my expectation, but one of my videos got a little more viewership, which resulted in an influx of subscribers. So I got there a lot earlier than I expected, and therefore I'm not quite prepared. Well, any thoughts, any suggestions would be deeply appreciated if you guys have any. Now let's inspect. Oh, look at that. That's nice soldering. This is what it's supposed to look like. Very nice. Now this side. Very nice. Yeah, that'll do. It's a little weak on this, but it should be fine. This side is very nice, and this one is great. All right, so that was a quick one. That was definitely a quick one. Mainly because I got the amount of solder well. I hit the sweet spot. Not too little, not too much. If you do too much, the chip is going to be dancing too much. It's going to be lifted a little bit, which will make the pin soldering very difficult. If you don't put enough, then the chip is not gonna jump in its position by itself. You're gonna have to align it manually. It still works, it's still gonna be fine, but it just takes a lot more time to align it. If you hit the perfect ratio, the chip is gonna jump into position like this one. There's a tiny misalignment. I mean, it's, you know, microscopically it's not perfect, but it's way within the spec, well within the spec, and it's not going to be lifted, so soldering pins around is going to be a lot easier. I want to say it comes with experience, but no, unless you actually use some kind of method to measure exactly the amount of solder you're putting on it, it's kind of a hit and miss. Some of these I can do in like 15 minutes, not even, and some of them take me 45 minutes or maybe even an hour. Well, maybe not an hour nowadays, but some of them take me a lot longer than the others. And I've done so many of these that, you know, you would expect that every single one is a breeze, and every single one takes 10 or 15 minutes. Nope. Not in my experience. Same with Surface Pros, right? I've taken so many screens off with so many different methods that you would expect that there's no way I'm going to damage the antenna or damage the screen. I haven't damaged the screen in a long time, yeah, but recently, was it a few days ago, I damaged the antenna. It just happens. You can't really gain perfection to the point where you never make a mistake. Even the machines that do this, right? Pick and place machines, soldering machines, right? You just put the blank board in the machine, and the machine places everything, puts the solder on, or puts the solder on first, maybe melts it first, place the components, goes through the oven, and everything is soldered on. And then 200 boards in the row are great, and then one is completely messed up or slightly messed up. That's why after any procedure like that, when it comes from the oven, it goes through the quality assurance, right, or quality check. And sometimes you have to make corrections. So no matter how much experience you have and how well you do it, you're still gonna have to endure some failures here and there. That's why the recommendation I got from other technicians is that every job that you accept should have a clause like these are the things that potentially can go wrong, and if they do go wrong, this is the added charge, added cost, whatever. The customer should always be aware of that, and always be aware that some stuff might go wrong, and you're just gonna have to pay for that. Because the technician cannot rely on on everything going well 100% of times, right? if it goes perfect 90% of times, that's already a great score, right? But you should allow 70%, but your success ratio is 70%, so 30% there's some kind of failure, be it your fault or not your fault, but you have to account for that. And customers should be aware that they'll need to pay for that. No way around it. Now let's do the who knows. Well, now I do know. So this was, I couldn't find the customer, couldn't match it, but then I remembered that I did talk on my other email, because my personal email is attached to my eBay account, not blackhorserepairs email, right? And I couldn't find it in blackhorserepairs email. There was no order number, no email, no phone number, nothing that I could reach the customer. Only the return address. Okay, so I know vent valve was shorted. Meaning what exactly was shorted? Did you fix the short? Yeah, this is also the version with IC608. That's probably something we gotta resolder anyways, because, you know, since it's already here, not every IC608 board is gonna give you problems, but enough of them that since it's already on my desk, I'll just resolder it. Okay, that's the version. Oh, this is this is very interesting version. So this is like fully occupied. So there's no missing ICs. So first thing, let's check the vent circuit if it's still shorted. If it's still shorted, then we're gonna inject a few volts and see what's getting hot. It will likely be a transistor, but if it's not a transistor, we're gonna have to replace a big IC. So, is it turbo? Well, we have VIN over here, so let's find out. This is non-turbo. Okay, that makes it easier. And if you're thinking, why should you provide me with the VIN? Well, this is pretty much why. So if I do have a VIN, then I can find out exactly what this ECM is. If I don't have the VIN, then I have to read the VIN of the computer. But to read the VIN of the computer, I ideally need to know well, I need to know the year, but I need to know whether it's turbo or not, whether it's like different version, because the pinout could be different enough, like we had in that 2005. The ignition switch was on the other pin, depending whether it's turbo or not. So there's a little bit of guesswork. If I don't have the VIN, then even to retrieve the VIN, I need to do some guesswork. So this is SO. So put car in test mode and found no ground signal coming out of computer circuit pin 17 connector B136. B13617, that's the drain valve. So that's our EVAP, I expect. There's no short. But that's actually normal until you push some energy into it. around 5 volts. Let's do 5.2 volts. And let's find some good ground here. So this is open collector, which means if I push voltage, there should be no current draw. If on the other hand there is, that's our problem, and we have to trace which component is faulty. Yep, we're grabbing power. So let's check the thermal image and see what is shorted. The diode? That is weird. The diode is shorted. Okay, so let's, just in case, let's check at the back too. And this is heating up too. Also a diode. So all the two diodes are shorted, but not, you know, it gives me the voltage drop is fine. So what are these diodes here for? Well, this is drain valve, right? So how do we know it's open collector? First question, right? Because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm connecting the voltage in the wrong polarity, which causes the diode to conduct, right? So forward, well, you know what I mean, which would be normal, right? But what do we have? When we have ignition switch on, right? So when it's on, it's 1 volt or less. When it's off, it's 10 to 13 volts. That tells you that it's open collector. If it's on, the voltage is low because it's cutting to ground, right? And that's how any solenoid relay, that's how everything is operated with open collector. Now, since it's electromagnetic component, what happens is when you open it, so when you close it, everything's fine, right? You cut it to ground, you connect it pretty much to ground, and the solenoid opens or closes depending if it's NC or NO. Everything's fine. But then when you turn it off, you cut the ground. This is very curious about coils, because the coil kind of, you can think of it as it reverses polarity. Now what was positive now is negative, and what was negative now is positive. Now in my view, this is a little counterintuitive maybe, and harder to explain, or harder to understand this explanation. So the easier explanation in my view is when you think of the coil, when you try to, when you disconnect it from the ground, so you stop the current flow, the coil still has some energy in it that it needs to get rid of. So the current is flowing in the same direction still, even though there's no ground, causing a higher potential on what was negative, right, that went to ground. The connector that went to ground now becomes energized, and now the coil works like a battery. So in a way, it reversed polarity, right? What was connected to the ground now is the source of energy. And that energy is discharged through the diodes because it's the opposite direction, right? That's why this diode doesn't really have anything, the diode doesn't have an impact when in circuit, because it's placed in circuit in reverse. It cannot conduct. But when that polarity reverses on the coil, that's when the diode is used. I don't know if that explanation makes any sense, or just gets you more confused about coils. But electromagnetism, especially the inductance and the coils and stuff, this is very lengthy subject. It took me years even to gain enough understanding to explain it this way, and to understand what the purpose of that diode is and what exactly is the problem, right? And that came mainly from, you know, reading schematics and doing simulations myself. Anyways, this is the diagnosis, right? We didn't get paid for this one yet, so we're not gonna fix it just yet. But we know, and actually let's write it down. And tell the customer that this is what needs to happen. Because now what we need to consider is whether the replacement is going to be a better option, or cloning the ECM to a replacement. That's consideration number one. Consideration number two, if the faulty valve is still in the car, once I replace these diodes, the fault might come back, right? So I don't know if the customer actually replaced the valve, but this is definitely caused by a faulty valve. There was just too much, the voltage was just too high, and it destroyed the diodes. So first diode is, come on, D805, right? D805, this diode over here. So D805, and the second that is lighting up was here, which is kind of curious. Why would this one also go faulty? But it does light up at 5 volts. Remember that I'm only injecting 5 volts. If this was 12 volts, those diodes are just gonna start burning. And let's look at it under the other scope to see if we can detect signs of melting of the conformal coating. So D805 and D505 are faulty. Yeah, so this looks just like the ECM we just fixed that was heated up, right? The coating is melted. So this diode was getting hot. Now let's see the other diode, and this is immediately obvious. You see that? See the difference between one diode and the other diode? I'm not sure how well you see it under the scope. So again, now we need to just determine whether it's better to fix this one or clone it, depending whether we can first of all find the replacement and what the cost of the replacement is. If it's the same as repair, then I would advise cloning, because cloning will give you definite results. Because what could happen other than that, because these two components are lighting up under a thermal imager, fine, but we don't know if the MCU didn't suffer, right? Because it's the MCU that will, well, actually probably not, because I would expect also the transistor to be shorted. And actually I'm surprised transistor is not shorted. It's very surprised. But the way it works, MCU just either pulls the PNP to the ground, or opens the NPN with a high signal, which in turn opens the valve. Then when the valve closes, we have the big discharge, and the diode is taking that hit, not the transistor. Oh yeah, it does make sense actually. If the diode went short first, then it protected the transistor and the rest of the circuit. All right, well, this is our diagnosis. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So this is code, which is kind of common actually, P0448, right? EVAP problem. And yeah, this is the fix, or the cloning. We can do both. Actually, let's confirm that we can do both. Yeah, we can do both. Oh, they're mowing the lawn. Damn, those machines are noisy. Alrighty, fellas. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate you. I hope you found this interesting, or maybe a little bit of knowledge that you seek. And I shall see you guys in the next one.